One national team has won this tournament more times than any other 5 separate titles across the decades.
That history creates a specific kind of pressure, a standard every new generation is measured against.
This cycle, a new head coach, a decorated veteran of the European game, took over the rebuilding project. The roster blended proven veterans with a wave of promising younger attacking talent, on paper a strong mix. One veteran's place on the squad was genuinely uncertain heading into the tournament due to recent injuries. He'd torn his ACL 2 years earlier and battled a hamstring problem in the build-up to this tournament. His rehabilitation went well enough to earn a roster spot, though a starting role was far from guaranteed. The group stage went smoothly enough on the surface, an unbeaten run that included eliminating one rival early. The round of 32 brought a real scare though, a match that needed a stoppage-time winner to survive. Keep that near miss in mind. It turned out to be an early warning the team didn't fully heed. The round of 16 brought a surprise package of a team, unfancied but playing with real confidence. That opponent's biggest individual threat had already scored heavily throughout the tournament's earlier rounds. He scored twice in this match too, doing exactly what he'd done to nearly every opponent so far. The veteran team, missing some of its usual control in midfield, struggled to contain the pace of the game. Down on the scoreboard, the coaching staff turned to the bench, searching for something to change the picture. Among those substitutes was the veteran forward, brought on for what would become his final international minutes. Deep into second-half stoppage time, his team earned a penalty, a final small window to salvage something. He stepped up and converted it calmly, a small consolation goal in a match already effectively lost. That penalty extended his own record tally for the national team to its highest mark in the program's history. It was also, though nobody watching knew it yet, the very last touch of his international career. The final whistle confirmed the result, a 2-1 defeat and an early elimination for one of the favorites. Moments later, still on the pitch, the veteran told reporters plainly that his time with the team was over. He'd made his debut for the national team at this exact stadium 16 years earlier as a teenager. His career had now closed at that same stadium, a tidy symmetry nobody could have planned in advance.
He described it simply. It started here, and it finished here, in almost the same breath.
Teammates gathered around him as he became visibly emotional, unable to hold back what the moment clearly meant. The head coach in his own press conference focused less on blame and more on the road ahead. He called the result deeply disappointing but insisted the group hadn't deserved to lose based on the performance. He's contracted with the program through the next World Cup cycle, giving him time to rebuild around this exit. That rebuild starts from a specific structural problem pundits had flagged well before this tournament even began. The team's midfield, several analysts argued, had been stretched too thin, leaning on one player to do too much. Injuries to other key midfield options before the tournament only made that imbalance harder to disguise. None of that fully explains one bad night against a well-drilled opponent, but it's part of the fuller picture. It's worth remembering, too, that the winning team had simply played very well, not just gotten lucky. Elimination this early, though, guarantees something uncomfortable. This team's title drought now extends further still. Their most recent title came in the early 2000s. This result pushes the weight to at least 28 years. That would make it the longest gap between titles in the program's entire history, dating back to the 1950s. None of that erases what the departing veteran actually accomplished across his own 2-decade international career. He leaves as the program's all-time leading scorer, a record he claimed relatively early in his career. He won Olympic gold and silver medals, a continental championship, and a major European club trophy. The 2 trophies that eluded him were the World Cup itself and the sport's top individual annual award. His best realistic chance at the World Cup came over a decade earlier, on home soil, in a painful semi-final. An injury kept him out of that specific match entirely, one of the more painful footnotes of his whole career. He never quite got another chance that good again, across 3 more tournament cycles after that one. For years, he was widely discussed as the heir to 2 of the sport's most decorated modern superstars. That comparison became part of the weight he carried, fair or not, for the better part of his career. He'll likely finish his career without matching either of those 2 players' trophy cabinets directly.
That doesn't erase a genuinely excellent individual career, just contextualizes it against an unusually high bar.
Plenty of very good careers get measured, unfairly, against the 2 or 3 greatest of a whole generation. His story is a version of that same pattern, playing out very publicly, over 2 full decades in the spotlight. Now the program moves into a new cycle without him for the first time in 16 years of senior football.
A wave of younger attacking talent is already waiting for a larger share of the responsibility going forward.
Whether any of them can carry the specific weight this program places on its attacking players remains unclear. That's a question for the next several years, not something this single tournament could ever answer alone. What is answered for now is exactly how one specific two-decade international career came to a close. Not with a trophy, and not with a signature moment on the biggest stage, but with a late consolation penalty. That's a fittingly human ending for a career defined as much by peaks as by long stretches of hard luck. Injury shaped more of his story than most fans probably remember when they picture his highlight reel. So did moments of real brilliance, stretched across 16 years and 4 separate World Cup rosters. Both versions of that story are true at once, which is usually how long careers actually work in practice. The symmetry of debuting and retiring at the exact same stadium wasn't planned. Football rarely allows that. It happened anyway, which is part of why the moment resonated well beyond his own team's fan base. Neutral viewers, without any real stake in the result, still found the closing scene genuinely affecting. That's not nothing. Plenty of long careers end quietly in an empty stadium with nobody watching at all. His didn't. It ended in front of a packed stadium, teammates gathered close, cameras capturing every second. Whether that's a fitting reward for a complicated, sometimes frustrating career, is a matter of personal opinion. What isn't up for debate is the scoreline, the statistics, and the calendar this result leaves behind. A 28-year wait for another title is now the program's new reality, whether anyone likes it or not. Rebuilding programs this decorated rarely stay down for long, historically speaking, across the sport's full history. But rarely isn't the same as automatically, and nothing about the next cycle is guaranteed in advance. For now, the program simply has to sit with this result and with the departure that came alongside it. 2 decades from now, this specific tournament will likely be remembered as the end of one very long chapter.
Whether it also marks the start of a genuinely successful new one is simply too early to say with any certainty.
What's certain is the image that closes this particular chapter. One stadium, 2 moments, 16 years apart. A debut as a teenager, 16 years ago. A goodbye as a veteran, still visibly moved by the whole thing. Careers this long rarely get to choose their own ending. This one, unusually, landed somewhere close to fitting. Not perfect, not a trophy, but honest, symmetrical, and clearly meaningful to the person actually living it. Sometimes that has to be enough, even for players who spent 2 decades chasing something bigger.